Have you ever hated your life so much that you wanted to escape to a virtual one? If so, VR might be for you. Now that I've tried two different VR headsets, I wanted to give you my impressions on both, the HTC Vive and the PSVR. I do want to say that my time with the Vive was much more extensive than PSVR. The biggest difference that I found between the two is, of course, that the Vive is room scale, while PSVR is just stationary, so Vive, you can get up, walk around, actually be in a virtual space like that. I have to say, the simple act of walking around in the Vive made a huge difference in terms of immersion for me, to the point where I jumped in, immediately knew what I was doing for the first time, never done VR before, and kind of scared my girlfriend. She didn't understand how I could lose my grip on reality so quickly. You'd think she would know by now. Simple motions like opening up drawers or throwing something from one hand to another felt really real with the controllers. Just use little triggers on the back to grab something, put it in the other hand. That felt really good. But what was probably the biggest moment where it clicked for me was when the doors opened and a demo was playing and a robot actually walked into the room and I tried to back up out of the way because I didn't want him to hit me. I had already forgotten. I had it on for 5 minutes. I had forgotten that I was in a virtual space. Everything around me was so real. I didn't want to get run over by this robot. I don't want to be rude. I'd never met him before. And on a slightly scarier note, during this Portal demo, love Portal by the way, great game, GLaDOS, the giant, evil robot that hangs from the ceiling, doesn't look all that big in the games. When she's in the Vive and she's in virtual reality and she gets right up in your face, this giant construct hanging from the ceiling right here, it's a little bit terrifying. And it wasn't even a scary demo, it was just, I don't like people being in my space, and she was all up in my space, if you know what I mean. But my favorite experience with the Vive was probably while playing the game Budget Cuts. If you've never played it before or never heard of it, it's a stealth action game. So apparently there's robots on all of these, hide so these robots can't turn around and find you while they're patrolling this area. You can throw things at them to distract them or to take them out. You've got little knives you can throw. But the coolest thing about it is you can actually physically duck behind constructs in the game. So there's a waist-level high wall, a robot's turning at you, you can physically duck in real life and get behind this wall and they can't see you. Now, I've played a lot of stealth games over the years. I love Metal Gear Solid. I almost platinumed Metal Gear Solid 5. Spent a lot of time with those games. I've never felt tension like that before in a stealth game. There's something about physically being in the same space as the enemy who's trying to find you. Not actually in the same space, but your mind believes you're in the same space. It adds a whole other dimension when someone's coming up behind a corner and they're going to turn their head and see you. Not see the character you're controlling on screen, but see you. It really adds another layer, and it changes the way we're going to play games. Now, I could keep going on about the Vive all day, but I'm trying to keep the time down on this. I also did try the PSVR demo at Best Buy, and it is also very immersive, but with a few bugaboos I need to work out. Now, I may have been spoiled by the Vive considering it's twice as expensive and on a much more powerful rig, but I was not impressed with the fidelity of the PSVR. I jumped into Eve Valkyrie, it's the space combat game, and just jagged lines everywhere. Low textures, did not look good. Having said that, I was in there for 2.5 minutes, completely forgot about all that. The technology still works, you can still look around everywhere. It's like you're in space and you forget about how it looks, but my initial reaction upon putting it on was, ugh. Also, it may not have been adjusted correctly. The guy took like an hour to set it up, didn't really know what he was doing. Now, I had that moment in the Vive where everything suddenly clicked for me. I had the same thing playing Eve Valkyrie on the PSVR. I was doing barrel rolls because I heard that people were doing that and that's how we're getting sick. And so with the short amount of time I had in the game, I wanted to try to make myself sick to see if the technology would be for me or not. Did half a dozen or so barrel rolls and I was fine, but then once I stopped, I noticed that I didn't know which way was up anymore, or that I was in space and that there was no up anymore, which is pretty crazy. Just to not have a horizon line and to suddenly be kind of off-kilter. It's like, I'm in space. I'm not sitting in a chair in Best Buy with 30 people taking phone videos of me. I'm spinning around in space and I don't know where I am. That was really cool. So I can imagine in that kind of environment, I do not like people looking at me in public. In that kind of environment, if I can be immersed that quickly at home playing something like this, the technology works. It really does. I don't know if the games are going to come or not to support it, but the technology whether it's PSVR on the low end or the HTC Vive on the high end. It definitely works. And this immersion is very important because, in my opinion, from everyone I've heard and from my own experience now, VR is not going to be a cool way to play old games. It's going to be a completely new way to play games. Just like mouse and keyboard for shooters is like, this is how this works now, and people had to get used to that. Then when we moved to consoles and you had gamepads with first-person shooters on there, when Halo fixed that whole control scheme, that was a whole new way to play games. VR is not a way to play old games. It's a way where new games can be built from the ground up for VR and have brand new experiences that we're not used to. As soon as I got into E-Valkyrie, I was like staring at the side of a ship. I was trying to do like a Death Star trench run, go as close as I could to this ship. I just ended up hitting the side and then like just kind of looking around thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Then I could remember I can use the control sticks to move, because I was so used to looking around and going where I'm looking in games. Now, where you look and where you move are two very different things. And so, whole new way to play games, whole new way to have new experiences, sporting venues, concerts, things like that. I think VR is here to stay. In what capacity in terms of gaming that's going to take, I don't know. But both with the PSVR on the low end and the Vive on the high end, everything I've seen has just made me more excited and makes me want to dig into this technology more. Thank you guys so much for watching. As you can see, this is a different camera I usually use from this angle. It's not my webcam, and I'm not shooting up against this wall. Just want to try a few different ways of shooting these Let's Talk videos, because I had a lot of ideas to get out, but nothing really scripted all that much. I just wanted to talk, so trying something a little different. Let me know what you like, whether you want the higher produced things or just the straight on like this, or I'm interested to hear what you think. I like doing this, but I want to know how it comes off on the other end. So I appreciate you guys so much for watching this. I hope you continue to watch. I'll put a little link down to my channel and to other videos down here. But thank you so much. Hope to see you next time. Bye.